Okay, here to do an observation with Lauren Jones at the Impact Hub.
Lauren Jones meeting with James Ellis.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so first thing is can you just show me that you can set up the cameras and everything like that?
So
Do you want to maybe do it over here, Lauren, just so we're out of the way?
So just the camera?
Onto the tripod, please.
Okay. So
You'll need the tripod to set up the tripod.
No, I was thinking what location would probably be better.
This will be better.
Okay, so I've already got the lens on it, but I can show you how to take it off by pressing your thumb on here, twist it, and then when you want to put it, and then you've got a cap that you screw on so that it protects the back.
What do you have to remember when sort of handling a lens? What certain things do you have to not do and do?
Try not to keep it bare out like this for ages, because otherwise loads of dust and stuff can get onto it and affect the lens. And also when you're messing with it, try not to touch it here, try and hold it like that. And then same with that, that's a really important part of the camera. If that gets broken, then I can't remember what it's called now. Yeah, it's got a special name, but yeah. So yeah, and then when you want to put it back on, you've got to make sure that the red lines up with the red and you twist it on.
Okay,
so,
excellent.
So you hear it click, and then you take the lens off, like that.
So should you get the camera out before you set up the tripod?
I always do.
Okay.
That's the way I work though.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because I always put my SD card in, put my battery in. Because sometimes, most of the time, I go handheld, so I don't use a tripod as much. So yeah, most of the time I do set up the camera. It's just the way I work.
Why do you think, for health and safety reasons, it might be better to set up the camera first?
Because if set up the what? Camera?
The tripod first.
Because then, if you need to put it down or something, at least then it's off the ground and it's away from everyone. Like
Okay.
to be trod on or something.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get dropped.
Okay. So can you talk about? You talked about the lens. Any other features on the camera as we got it out?
So you've got your viewfinder, which is what you look through when you're taking photos, and it's got your exposure bar in there as well, and shows you what settings you're on. You've got your wheel here to show what setting you want to use. I currently use manual because it's just, you get better quality footage and images that way.
Is there any other times when you might not use manual to help you?
Sometimes you'll use aperture priority if you want certain.
What does aperture priority mean?
It means that the aperture is prioritised over anything else. So the aperture will be chosen for you by the camera, but everything else you've got to do manually. So
Yeah,
like
okay.
ISO and the shutter speed you have to do manually.
So talk me through what is the aperture.
The aperture, there's a little thing in the lens. So the smaller the aperture.
It's called the iris.
Is it the iris?
It is, yeah.
I call it. There is a different name. I was told that it is, but I can't remember what it is. But yeah, the iris. It's a little hole, and then like a little pinhole. And the smaller the aperture, the bigger the hole, meaning that more light is let into the camera. So if I had f1.8, I'd get a really overexposed image, but it could work, it could not work, depending on your shutter speed and your location and stuff.
And with DSLRs, when you've got a very open aperture, so it's called speed, I don't know if you know that, it's called a fast lens when it's open that wide. What does that mean that you can do with your focus?
Pull more like your focus can be. So say for instance I'm taking a picture of you or I'm filming you, you will be very, very sharp, but the background will be very, very blurry, so it makes more attention onto the subject rather than what's going on behind the subject.
But if you didn't have an open aperture, you couldn't do that, could you?
No, it'd be more intertwined with each other, so the background will mix in with you more.
Get a flatter image, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. You talked about ISO. What's ISO?
ISO is the sensitivity
Of
the. Ask me another technical question. Sensitivity of the.
You don't actually need to know
It's a
for
little
this,
card.
but it's
It's
just
a
a
little
digital
card,
chip.
yeah.
It's just the chip.
So there's a little chip in there. So the lower the ISO, the less sensitive the chip is in the camera. So less light.
What's the disadvantage of whacking the ISO up really high?
Grainy images.
Yeah.
You get very, very grainy images, and it just looks very, very just poorly done. But you can, depending on your camera, you can go up to certain ISOs before it gets too grainy. So like I had a Canon 100D, it would only go up to 800 before, and then it started getting grainy. But this one goes up to about 1800 before it gets too grainy.
C300 goes to, which is the Canon C300 goes to about 20,000. You can film in almost darkness. It's grainy, but it looks cool actually.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's start setting up the tripod anyway.
Okay. Do you need me to put the battery and stuff in it?
Yeah, go on then. Do your test on the camera. That's fine. I'm happy for you to do that.
Okay. So I'm going to put the camera onto the table because it's safer on the table. It's not going to get crushed. Okay. So also with the batteries, you get these little things that they come on. It protects all the
Element.
these. I can never remember the names. I'm so bad.
Element.
So yeah, to put it in, I've just flipped that open, and I've got to make sure that it's slotted in.
So any safety issues when putting in a battery or charging a battery?
Yeah, a lot of safety issues. So like say for instance it's raining and you're trying to put a battery in, you've got to try and be under shelter because otherwise, if you've got this wide open in the rain, then water can get in and then it can just, it can mess up with your camera, and it could also be a safety hazard to you. Then charging your battery, obviously keep it on. I like to tend to keep mine on a flat surface when I'm charging it, so then if it's on a carpet or something it can tend to overheat and it, that can damage your battery. So I'll put it on a flat surface most of the time.
Perfect. Okay, so what tests do you need to do on the camera before you would start shooting? So just to make sure everything's working, what normal standard tests would you do? It's more kind of just general setting up of a camera, but they are tests, aren't they, really?
Yeah, I just turn it on, I check my battery life down there, and I'll just take, there's not an SD card in it at the moment, so...
Do you want to stick an SD in?
So I always turn my camera off before I put an SD card in. You never have your camera on when you're putting an SD card in.
Absolutely.
So